Good evening to you, televiewers. Welcome. This is the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television. In our top stories, the defense team of Julius Sisiku Ayuk Tabe and the 9 other Amazonian leaders detained in Kunengi have expressed embarrassment over once they term the refusal to bring their clans to court July 23rd by judges. To them, the lawyers or the clans were supposed to be brought to court despite the event which took place at the Kunengi Central Prison, where prisoners rioted, and equally indicated that the riot never touched the detention facilities of their clans, and that government is simply shying away from the judgment of the case pitting the clans and the states. And equally, Amnesty International, a right group, has condemned the excessive use of force and firearms against prisoners at the Kunengi maximum security prison Monday. And the international right group is equally demanding government of Cameroon to independently investigate the use of arms and equally other deadly weapons used against prisoners Monday. More in this edition of the newscast. Good evening to you once more, televiewers. Welcome to the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television. The case pitting Julius Sisiku Ayuk Tabe and other Amazonian leaders against the states will resume on July the 29th. The case that was supposed to take place on July 23rd, that was yesterday, was adjourned for the non-appearance of the Amazonian leaders to court, and the lawyers of Julius Sisiku Ayuk Tabe and the 9 Amazonian leaders detained in Kunengi have expressed embarrassment as the government authorities or prison authorities failed to bring their clans to court for judgment, despite the fact that the riots which took place in the Kunengi Central Prison never had anything to do with their clans where they were detained. Details in this report compiled by Smanjika and Gabriel.
Through a media release posted on the walls of the Yaoundé military court that lawyers defending Sisiku Ayuk Tabe were notified of the postponement of the court case of their client, who is unavoidably absent.
You cannot turn around to say they were unavoidably absent. How? You have the keys, you have the handcuffs, you have even the helicopters. If their armored cars cannot produce them, how comes that they are not in court? It's a question that begs for an answer, and it puts the judicial machinery of this country to test.
The defense team of Sisiku Ayuk Tabe, upon arriving at the Kunengi principal prison, were the ones who informed their client about their indisponibility, even though Sisiku and co were set to appear before the judges.
If they could lift these 10 persons from Abuja, Nigeria, in a hotel, violating international treaties and international law, and drop them in Yaoundé, incarcerate them until they are being put on a trial, then they can't tell us they are unavoidably absent. The keys of Kunengi, though owned by the prison administrator, he's armed by a warrant, detention warrant signed by the president of that court, and a reproduction warrant signed by the commissary government, in which case, in English, the state council. How are they unavoidably absent? That is a million question, which we beg for an answer. So, therefore, it's a calculated attempt not to produce our clients, psychologically demoralize them, psychologically demoralize the public, their followers, and even us, the defense council.
The defense team of Ayuk Tabe say the act of the government has cost them time and money, owing that they came from different parts of the country to defend their client. For them, it's not a true trial.
It's a felonious trial. And the law is clear. You cannot attempt to open a trial in the absence of the accused person, more especially when he is in your custody.
Before media organs, the defense team of Sisiku Ayuk Tabe taking into consideration the protests that took place at the Yaoundé Central Prison late Monday night, condemns the limping nature of the judicial system of the country as a condition in which prisoners are kept is very poor.
We understand there was an uprising or some turmoil in another prison cell yesterday, but it did not concern the department of our clients. It did not concern the department of our clients. We are surprised they ought to be in court. And if they are not in court, the government should take our responsibility to give the genuine reason why they are not in court, not putting it on the accused person.
Cameroon, they say, is not a serious country in terms of its judicial system.
We must be serious. It seems Cameroon is a state, pretentiously is a state of law, whereas it is not a state of law. There are so many issues that we have to raise, but ladies and gentlemen, this is where we find ourselves. If we are in the temple of justice, but it seems justice is not by us. And if we are in a temple of justice, justice must be seen to be rendered. An excuse should not be given for an accused person who is in the detention of the state.
Sisiku Ayuk Tabi and co, nicknamed the Naira 10, are expected to appear again before judges at the Yaoundé Military Court July 29, 2019, and the defense team is expecting that there won't be another drawback again from the government.
And the defense team of the Amazonian leaders as well indicated that no matter what, the court case should have taken place and that the government of Cameroon has every means to ensure that despite the riot in Kondengi, the prisoners should be taken to court for judgment and not to carry out another adjournment. And expressing embarrassment, the lawyers also condemned the prohibition of the Amazonian leaders from receiving visitors, mostly their family members, though the court authorities indicate that only 3 persons are authorized to be seen by the Amazonian leaders, and the defense team are against this and say they have the right to see any number of visitors who come or that come visiting them. Take a listen to them as they were speaking.
Lawyers of the civil party were in court with us. Some of them were just as embarrassed as the defense counsel were embarrassed, even journalists. Secondly, the issue on social media does not concern the compartment of Seseko and the 9 others, because yesterday we, the defense lawyers, had a meeting with them in prison. And at the time we were leaving the prisons, we saw the roads were already blocked towards the central prisons of Yaoundé. And it was later in the evening on social media that we gathered that there was some turmoil inside the central prison. So the apartment of our clients, Seseko and the 9 others, had no trouble. Reason why we are embarrassed that they were not produced. Kondengi is very large. They have about 3 compartments of prisons. You have central prisons, you have the principal prison. So there was no turmoil, no uprising, no manifestation in the department where Seseko and co were. Thirdly, you talk of Seseko being compromised or dialogue and all that. He's our client. As far as we, the defense team, is concerned, it is very clear. We don't know of any form of dialogue between Seseko and government. Okay. Yeah. As of this moment we talk, we are not aware. Okay. Definitely we owe a duty to our clients, and our clients owe a duty to us. If he has taken such a step, which we don't believe, he would have rightfully informed us. So the presumption as of this moment is he has no links with government and is dialoguing nothing with the government of Cameroon. The right of a detainee is that he has a right to visit us. Our clients don't have the right to visit us. They are limited to 2 or maximum 3 visitors, which is not the case. We, our lawyers, we have access to visit them. Yes, they are lawyers, but their family members find it difficult to visit them. Because there's a condition at the central prisons that unless you go through the commissary de gouvernement and he grants you a permit, then can you see the detainee. As I said earlier, the presumption of innocence is yet to be understood by the court before which we are. Because if they were presumed innocent, anybody who wants to visit them should be allowed to visit them. When you restrict movement, it's a trials of justice.
And the renowned rights group Amnesty International has qualified as condemned what it qualifies as excessive use of force to quell the riots in the Yaoundé Central Prison Monday. And in a statement it issues, that's in the latest statement it issued, the director of West and Central Africa, Marie-Eveline Petrus-Barry, the organization says authorities in Cameroon must refrain from using excessive force against prisoners and independently and effectively investigate the use of firearms and live ammunition reported during the riots. The body thinks the further violence at the central prison in Yaoundé and many other detention centers in Cameroon are inevitable given the overcrowded nature of the prisons. Marie-Eveline Petrus-Barry pointed out that thousands of detainees are still waiting to be brought before a judge. She equally indicates that prison conditions are absolutely dire in Kondengi. Authorities should work to improve the grim conditions prisoners are crammed into. That's according to her. And equally that they should release anyone detained only for exercising their rights to peaceful protest and ensure that all people detained past the legal periods of pre-trial detention and are immediately presented to a judge or released, according to the director. And now the people of Tombel in the Coupe Maningoba division of the southwest region of Cameroon say government should stop granting humanitarian aid to them and rather preoccupy itself with the needs to ensure peace returns in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon. Details with Fomi Armstrong Sander. We'll be getting the report by Fomi Armstrong Sander. Certainly, after receiving this note, where the Cameroon English Language Newspapers Publishers Association (CENPA) expresses worry over school shutdown in the northwest and southwest regions for 3 years now, with children now engaged in deviant practices and exposed to societal risk. To CENPA during a press briefing in Yaoundé, despite the war situation, children can still be guided to go to school. CENPA launches appeal to the parties involved in the war to give peace a chance for schools to resume come September. CENPA promises to support children in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon with didactic materials and money lacked by parents. And here now is a declaration that CENPA made that's in a press briefing. Take a listen.
Briefing. The Cameroon English Language Newspaper Publishers Association, CENPA, hereby informs the public that as part of the association's contribution for effective school resumption in the northwest and southwest regions, come September 2019, it will offer didactic materials to the 13 divisions that make up the crisis-hit regions. These didactic materials will include a school bag, exercise books, pens, pencils, rulers, erasers, and a token amount of money. Each of the 13 divisions will receive 50 school bags containing these items. In all, CENPA plans to assist 650 school-going children in the northwest and southwest regions. Aware that the crisis has crippled the economy of the northwest and southwest regions, CENPA is by this gesture coming to the aid of parents who may not be financially viable to send their children back to school this academic year. CENPA is greatly saddened by the fact that for 3 years running, children have been unable to effectively attend school in the two regions. It is an established fact that by staying away from school, most of these idle children have become drug addicts, commercial sex workers, bandits, as well as being involved in other forms of criminality. SENPA has also noticed with dismay that most parents in the Northwest and Southwest regions have taken advantage of the school boycott to offer their young children as domestic servants in other regions of the country. It is important to note that in most countries affected by crisis, children have been allowed to go to school. SENPA believes that this situation should not be different in Cameroon. Driven therefore by the resolve to see schools effectively take off in the two English-speaking regions, SENPA solicited and obtained funding from some humanitarian organizations to match its back-to-school campaign with action. It is important to indicate that SENPA members equally made contributions to this back-to-school fund. Besides the donation of didactic materials to encourage effective school resumption in the two regions, SENPA is finalizing arrangements to organize a workshop on peace reporting and responsible journalism for English-speaking journalists. The first, expected to group 50 journalists from the Southwest and Littoral regions, will take place in Douala from August 8 to 9, 2019. The second, that will bring together 75 journalists from the Northwest, West, and Central regions, will take place in Yaoundé from August 13 to 14, 2019. Participants at both workshops will be selected from the print, audiovisual, and online media. Notwithstanding these efforts, SENPA is launching a fervent appeal to the parties involved in the conflict to give peace a chance so that normalcy can return to the two troubled Northwest and Southwest regions. SENPA also joins its voice to that of national and international bodies for government to urgently initiate an all-inclusive dialogue without preconditions to end the crisis in these regions.
Government should rather preoccupy itself with the aspects in ensuring that peace returns in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon for normalcy to return than giving humanitarian aid to persons affected by the armed conflicts in the two English-speaking regions. That's according to the inhabitants of Tombel in the Coupe Maningouba division of the southwest region of Cameroon. For me, Armstrong Sander has more.
Tombel in the Coupe Maningouba division, southwest region of Cameroon, like several towns and cities in the conflict-hit northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, has seen more than half of its population escape into bushes and several localities as the crisis deepens further. Rendered helpless and homeless by the war, some over 100 persons within Tombel subdivision stepped out of their hideout in bushes to benefit from the government's humanitarian assistance plan. Assembled at the subdivisional office, heavily guarded by security officials, the affected people, some unwilling to show their faces, risk all to benefit rice, vegetable oil, savon and toiletries. Administrative officials say it is the beginning of good things.
A few months ago, the Prime Minister was here and talked of peace. Said that the population, those who are in the bushes, will come out so that together we can look for solutions to the problems that are plaguing us. He said we can always solve our problems ourselves. And I feel that the people, the massive turnout of the population today is testimony of the fact that they believe that the state is listening to them and acting. But the state, of course, will do more so that problems are solved.
An opinion shared by some community leaders in Tombel.
With this gesture, many people will be motivated so that we can have schools or children go back to school very happily. And we hope that this is the beginning of the solution to this problem.
Contrarily to their opinion, majority of the people say food is important, but it is not the solution to the Anglophone crisis. Let the government engage a dialogue to solve the crisis. Where do we cook the food we received when our houses have all been burnt down?
If they give me mattress for your bag rice, I go cook for water with house bone.
Let them solve the problem and not be giving us food. If there is peace, we can get food for ourselves. I now live in a bush. It is risky to continue to live in the bush.
It's not easy. Now risk.
Just like the people of Tomel, the call for the government of Cameroon to concentrate on ending the war in the northwest and southwest regions has been echoed at every stop point of the caravans of the emergency humanitarian aid plan of the government of Cameroon.
In the flow report, Emine Luga looks at efforts staged to fight against sexual harassment in school milieu in Kongsamba in the Mongo division of the Littoral region.
According to the World Health Organization, about 15% of school-going children in Africa are sexually abused. In Cameroon, cases of such abuses in schools is more and more remarkable.
Depuis les années 2009, il y a eu des plaintes.
Since 2009, we have had reports. So many young girls reported cases. Reason why we deemed it necessary to hold this talk, so as to help the victims and criminals as well.
En aidant et les bourreaux et les victimes.
Statistics have proven that some promoting factors are poverty, the increasing breakdown of families, armed conflict, and weak law enforcement. Though Cameroon has ratified several treaties protecting children, observers have it the treaties seem poorly enforced, and if applicable and defaulters sufficiently punishable by law as advanced by state authorities. Professor Ponti of the University of Yaoundé 1, in this exchange, specified on the need to educate victims of your rights.
Le ministre d'État, ministre de l'Enseignement supérieur, a pris des actes forts pour
The Minister of Higher Education has taken measures to sanction those who will commit such crimes on school children. That is why young girls should be aware that such actions are taken to protect them.
Pour qu'elles sachent qu'il y a une action qui est faite, qui est prise en l'encontre de ceux qui s'adonnent à cela.
Having mostly young girls victimized, those present in the talk, though with a few sad memories, retained key facts. I recall when I was at the university, a lecturer made advances to me, but I was decisive. I denied. Personally, I am ready. After this program, I now know how to defend myself in the future. When caught, it is reported that some perpetrators offer money to relatives, victims, and to victims so as to avoid prosecution, and at times they threaten the victim to oblige them keep quiet. Given that sexual harassment is a crime, victims should take their rapists to court. Meantime, sexual harassment has lots of consequences, which are physical injury, sexually transmitted diseases, unwanted pregnancies, poor performance in school, and rejection by their peers. For younger kids, psychological problems could last far into adulthood.
And up next is Talking Points. Discover our guest in a jiffy. Good evening once more. Welcome. This is Talking Points, and we have as guest the National Communication Secretary of the Popular Action Party and equally a member of Stand Up for Cameroon, Fabrice Lena. Good evening and welcome.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Journalist. It's my pleasure.
I hope all the titles are okay.
They're okay. Actually, I am the National Communication Secretary for the newly elected National Bureau for the Popular Action Party. So I also represent Stand Up for Cameroon, a movement that is for change in Cameroon.
And we have the national chairman of the Popular Action Party, that's Barrister Ayapol Abine, who resigned. What is the state of the party today?
Actually, the Popular Action Party needed this new dynamic team in the face of the multiple crises and challenges that our country is facing today. So after the resignation of our former national president, who in a very noble way, decided to give room for the youth to lead. Jean Denis Tabe was elected by the National Council as the new national president for the Popular Action Party, together with me and other national executive members.
And let's talk a bit about Stand Up for Cameroon Equally, which is an association, a grouping political parties to fight for the betterness of Cameroon. Just tell us, the Stand Up for Cameroon seems to have been silent for some time today, despite the happenings in the nation.
Stand Up for Cameroon is a very active, and I can authoritatively say Stand Up for Cameroon is carrying out most of the activities for change in Cameroon. It is a movement that is above political parties, regroup political parties, genuine opposition political parties, not any kind of political party, and individuals, civil society organizations who come together to react for change in Cameroon. And we've been carrying out a lot of activities supporting the detainees in the different prisons. We also carry out mobilization and training of Cameroonians on the objective of political transition in Cameroon, because the objective of the movement is that we don't think any sincere dialogue can take place with the present regime, given that there is bitterness in the heart of Cameroonians, as the regime has been deceiving Cameroonians for decades.
And now you're talking about visiting inmates incarcerated in various detention facilities in Cameroon, those who, of course, were arrested arbitrarily and detained. What about the happening on Monday in the Yaoundé Central Prison, Kundengi? You have prisoners who got up, rioted. You equally have the same situation that happened in Boya, the Boya Central Prison. What Stand Up for Cameroon saying concerning this? You know, they stood against poor living conditions in prisons.
Well, arbitrary arrest is as old as the state of Cameroon from independence, because arbitrary arrest started in the days of fight for independence, in the days of fight for multipartism, in the days for fight against the clandestine modification of the Cameroon Constitution in 2008, right up to Boko Haram, when it accelerated and became worse, to the Anglophone crisis, to the electoral hold-up and MRC crisis. So arbitrary arrest is a common phenomenon in Cameroon. It is terrible that people just are arrested because of expressing their opinions. People are arrested for having wrong messages in their phone. People are arrested for making joke about the Boko Haram crisis. People are arrested, and then people are arrested and put in jail without trial. They stay there for so many months, years. They get sentences. And sometimes humanitarian organizations go to visit such people. They are being denied access. Prisons that were built to contain 1,000 inmates are having about 7,000. It is showing a total failure of the present regime. It is a total catastrophe. It is really bad, treating human beings as though they were some sort of objects. So arbitrary arrest is really concern of the Popular Action Party and the Stand Up for Cameroon movement, and we are calling on free or arrested, because there is no more place in the prisons for more inmates.
To detain more persons arrested on a daily basis.
Exactly.
Just like you have the rights group, the International Rights Group, Amnesty International, that has instructed the government of Cameroon to stop or to ensure that the excessive use of force against prisoners are stopped, and equally that an investigation should be opened against open to find or to get those who actually use firearms against prisoners in Kundengi on Monday.
Yeah, talking about investigations and sanctions, when Cameroonian armies shot a baby and a woman in the north, the International Red Cross and other organizations, as they call themselves, made declarations, asked the Cameroon government, but as usual, no results. Babies are being shot on daily basis in the northwest and southwest regions. There is no investigations, no sanction. And what is happening in the different...
You have burnings and the rest, with many who have now fled in bushes and equally to the neighboring country. But all allegations directed to the military have simply been executed by the government because they believe that the military is very professional. You are the one saying military killed an innocent baby and equally a woman in the far north.
Those are facts. Those are not... our government authorities are very good at making propagandas that nothing is happening or everything is well, whereas on the field we are seeing the contrary. We are seeing people actually suffering. We are seeing the military actually using force. We are seeing things that the military is doing which is against the very law that they are trying to protect. The military is supposed to protect the population first, the territory second, and the government is the last thing that the military is supposed to protect. But in our context and in Cameroon is the contrary. They are protecting some individuals and the government against the population, constituting the executive, judiciary, and the legislative arm of the government. Those people don't make up even 0.5% of the Cameroon population. Very few people against 24 million people. It is appalling. It's a situation that calls for concern.
And before we go, we have prisoners who are still incarcerated, like Julius Ayuk Tabe and co, and equally Professor Maurice Kamto of the CRM party, who are yet to be released despite international and national calls for their liberation.
Well, it is symptoms of a failed regime, and I think that continue keeping leaders like Professor Maurice Kamto and Dr. Ayuk Tabe, it is going to really put the last nail in the coffins of this regime. That means the Biya regime is at its end. It is really what is going to make the government to finally fail, because those people were doing things that other people have done in different countries, which is but normal. Pacific and peaceful non-violent manifestation is a very normal thing that every law and constitution provide. But our case is only the government and it's a party that must manifest, which is very wrong.
Okay, thank you so much, Fabrice Lena, for coming.
Thank you too.
I recall that you are the National Communication Secretary of the the Popular Action Party, and equally member of Stand Up for Cameroon. And now, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this edition of the 6 p.m. Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television. Thanks so much for watching. Do stay put and have a splendid evening.